Bonjour, YouTube. It is Lux La Femme. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment on my videos. And please, mesdames and messieurs, please don't forget to click the notification bell. There is a miniseries that I have watched since I was 16. I've learned a great deal from. I hadn't seen it for a very long time. Like 10 to 15 years until I found it on YouTube. It's called The Lives and Loves of a SheDevil. Now, it's based on a book written by Faye Weldon, and the protagonist, her name is Ruth. The reason why this story touched me in so many fabulous ways was because Ruth had, her story started off her being a wife and a mother, dutifully, a wife and a mother. She's married to Babo, and Babo is a successful accountant and a philandering asshole. Now, he has several affairs. Ruth knows about every last one of them because he comes home and he tells her about them. Now, Ruth at the time has resigned herself to be this wife and this mother, and has resigned herself to being unattractive and to keep her home stable, so to speak. She sacrifices the love that she deserved, the validation she deserved and craved, even her femininity, even though she's a wife and a mother, as if she wasn't a desirable being. She sacrificed all that to keep a happy home. So she allowed Babo, with very little complaints about his philandering, she allowed him to just really literally mistreat her and abuse her. And they were fine like that until Babo meets Mary Fisher. Now, Mary Fisher, she's a wealthy romance novelist, and she's prone to seeing the world, her world, through these rose-colored romantic designer sunglasses. So she knows that Babo is married. She doesn't care. And as they continue to have this affair, she insists, because of quote-unquote love, they deserve to be together. So Babo decides, because he's a malignant narcissist, that this is a better situation. Mary Fisher is rich, has way more money than he does. He can live in the lap of luxury. Now, Mary lives in a designer mansion on a hill with a private drive. She has a butler. She has a maid. She is well known. She's a celebrity. And he's like, oh, I have met the woman of my dreams, as far as he's concerned. And even though the affairs prior, he would always come home to Ruth, he decided, no, I'm going to go ahead and be with Mary. And Ruth, you just going to need to be all right with that. Well, that's devastating to Ruth. Ruth is devastated by the fact that he has decided that all this time he had been lying to Ruth. You're my best friend. I would never leave you and the kids, blah, blah, blah. But here comes Mary. And he's like, yep, I'm outie. Peace out. So Ruth, so he tells Ruth this. Now, the next night, Babo's parents are coming over for a dinner. And Ruth is distraught through this whole time. And so finally, she just can't take it anymore, and she shares what's happened. And Babo's parents are like, what the hell are you talking about? No, Babo, you don't leave your wife. What are you talking about? You have a wife and you have kids. You do not do that. He's like, dude, I'm out of here. I don't care what you say. This is all Ruth's fault. Now, again, he's a malignant narcissist. So as you know, narcissists never take responsibility for their actions. So as he's packing his belongings to leave, all the while he's blaming Ruth. He's blaming Ruth for his decisions. And what he does is calls her a she-devil. So when he calls her a she-devil, and then he leaves the house, in her devastation, something changes. And she decides, okay, you want to call me a she-devil? Let me show you what a she-devil is really about, bruh. I'm going to show you what it is to be a she-devil, what it is to encounter a she-devil. And she sets out to show Bobble and Mary, because again, Mary knew he was a married man. She did not care that she was destroying a family, destroying another woman, just so she can have that unmet need met, that need of validation. To her, that was validating. Well, when Bobble left and called Ruth a she-devil, what he did was validate for Ruth that she had been playing the game wrong this whole entire time. She had been putting in all her energies into him. She should have been putting all her energies into her. So this is what she sets out to do. What ends up happening is Bobble and Mary have to take the two kids in because Ruth creates a situation where their house explodes. Literally. Blown up off the ground. She then sets Bobble up for embezzlement. And while she sets him up for embezzlement to steal, and I'm saying to steal, but I mean, he has all these high profile clients to include Mary. She starts Ruth siphons off monies from these accounts, from his accounts as an accountant that he's in charge of, and puts them in a Swiss bank account. Of course, he doesn't know about. So as this money has accumulated, she then takes this money and creates an employment agency called Vista Rose. And it employs women. And Vista Rose doesn't just employ women, but Vista Rose teaches women, gives them free training, free babysitting, and takes care of the household. So cooking and cleaning their houses. If they're a Vista Rose employee, all those needs are taken care of. Ruth then, after she's established Vista Rose, leaves Vista Rose to go become a nanny for the judge that's presiding over Bobble's case. Now she's working for Vista Rose, however. That's how she's able to get in. The things that she did to seduce this judge, I can't say that I would be willing to do it, but she was. And she was able to seduce the judge, and the judge gave Bobble the maximum sentence. So then she leaves the judge's house, and the judge was married to the Lady Bishop. And Lady Bishop the judge is abusive. And Lady Bishop is another woman that once again has given up her validity as being a human being and been treated with respect. She's given all that up so that she can be taken care of by the judge. The judge is sadistic. He is a sadomasochist. Literally. So, and Ruth was a woman of stature. So she could take what the judge was dishing out, but the Lady Bishop was very demure and petite. And he would take out on the Lady Bishop, all of his rage and anger and rancor. But he tried to do that to Ruth, and Ruth matched him. He actually, what was one of the things that was so interesting to me about Ruth is after she embraced that side of her, and I'm gonna say it was the feminine side. It wasn't a masculine side. It was a very feminine side. When she embraced her feminine side, men were asking her to marry them all. I mean, every time she got a chance. Every man she ever encountered after Bobo were asking her to marry them. Every last one of them. I mean that. The judge, it was amazing. She then goes and works for a priest. She seduces the priest. He asks her to marry him, and she says no. That's the other thing about it is just fascinating to me, because again, Ruth was a woman of stature. She was a woman of stature, and she was a woman of size, and quote unquote, she wasn't supposed to be really attractive. But all these men that she was able to seduce, being feminine, and she was being very feminine about it. She was, in my opinion, she was very seductive, like Mae West, a little bit of Mae West with trying to think of a woman of power. Dominique Jackson from Pose. She was a combination of Electra Wintour and Mae West. And men were eating out of her hands. Now, she wasn't supposed to be quote unquote attractive though. So she's able to seduce this Catholic priest, who then seduces Mary. Because again, Bobo's in jail now. One of the things, other than seducing a priest and a judge, I'm not open to that, but this other thing that she did that I really wasn't open to is she changed her appearance to look like Mary, to include having 6 inches removed from her legs. And I didn't agree with that. But everything else she did was just brilliant. And then she takes Bobo back after he's released from prison. She takes him back. She has affairs literally in his face though. Like literally, like he's laying on one couch, she's on the other couch, having sex with the butler. Literally. To me, that story, I didn't realize the significance of the story until I started writing about it a couple of weeks ago. The significance of the story are the lessons that I learned. And here this woman was dealing with this narcissist, and she was able to take revenge on the narcissist. However, in her taking revenge on the narcissist, she learned a lot about herself, right? So here's what, in my opinion, or at least what I learned from Ruth. In my opinion, she empowered herself by embracing the following truths. At first she gave Bobo all of her energies, as I said earlier, and that was to his advantage. She allowed him to be a philandering asshole. She sacrificed herself so that her kids would have a place to stay and she would be able to still be a wife and be a mom in comfort. But it was not comfortable. It couldn't have been. But when he called her a SheDevil, once she embraced that, she instantly reversed course and put all of her energies into herself. She expanded her knowledge base to enrich her financial stability. She stopped seeking outside validation. And when she did that, when I say all the men that she encountered, that she set out to seduce, they all asked her to marry them, every last one of them. And she said no. She still had sex with them. She was still very feminine in the situation, but she said, no, I'm not interested in that. I am married. I will have sex with you because the ends justifies my means, but I'm married. And when she stopped seeking that outside validation, that made a huge difference. The other thing, and it really it's last but certainly not least, she became her number one fan. She became her own fan. She saw her value and she saw her worth when he called her a SheDevil. Something about that just changed her. Like, oh yeah? Okay. Now, I also learned lessons from Mary. As I learned from my narcissistic parent, and I learned from the parent that abandoned me, I learned what not to do. And Mary, all the while, living her life like it's a novella, didn't care that she was breaking up a family. She didn't care that she was destroying a woman. She only cared about the perpetual hole in her self-esteem bucket. So she drowned herself in the illusion of romantic love, which superseded all of the common decency and moral responsibility that she had to herself. She was looking for Babo to validate her, and she never stopped. And FYI, it caused her her life. Did I forget to mention that Ruth's spirit ended up killing Mary in the end? So she gave all of herself, Mary did, to Babo, only to have him turn around and start treating her like he treated Ruth. He totally discarded Mary in the end for one of the instructors at the prison who happened to work for Vista Rose. So what I learned from Mary is never let your happiness depend on anyone outside of you. Establish self-validation to cultivate a healthy self-reflection. You deserve true love, not a marketing con job used to manipulate you. And if you are not your number one fan, you will be open to outside manipulations. To me, Mary was not self-aware enough to see her actions in a way of self-soothing. Her actions were a way of self-soothing. It was self-soothing the major lack of self-esteem. And it honestly killed her in the end. She lost it all for the fantasy and fallacy of that love, quote unquote love. And in truth, our self-awareness as women, our strengths, our self-esteem has always been belittled and minimized throughout time, replaced with a vicious lie that we are nothing without someone's outside love or outside validation. These lies, they've been used to pigeonhole us from progress for a long time. It's used against us like an AR-15 assault rifle. And we continue, while enmeshed in the lie, to provide the bullets used to kill us slowly. The fantasy of outside validation, we are willingly adopting the role of the victim. And it's drilled into our heads from the time we're little. We're told ad nauseum that men are the stronger of the species. And yet, we're the ones that have to nurture their egos. We're the ones that have to hold them down while we nurture and raise our children. And by nurturing a man's ego, we find the validation that we've sought our entire lives, that only his validation completes us, which is a total and complete lie. We are not taught to validate ourselves. Now, Ruth's plan for revenge, it took years to complete. And while she was doing that, she became a pillar of patience with herself and the process of change. Mary, she wanted what she wanted when she wanted it, and she wanted it right now, and she wanted it at any cost, and that included her life. And in the end, she didn't achieve what she longed for because outside validation does not fix the hole of self-esteem. It does not fix the hole in the self-esteem bucket. Ruth, on the other hand, achieved self-love, self-acceptance, and extremely high self-esteem when she embraced her power, when she validated herself. Now, though I get it that the title is Lies and Loves of a SheDevil, then in my opinion, it's because of how God has been used to pigeonhole women, to beat us down. That the message that we get are we are the reason, that Eve is the reason for original sin, because that's what it says in the Bible. So therefore, we are the reason for the original sin. We cannot be held responsible for Eve. We can only be held responsible for us. But that has not stopped a lot of different factions from using that to put us into some kind of control matrix. Throughout my years as a practicing Christian, I felt that God's true message of how we are as women and how special we are, it's been lost in man's translation. Case in point, Mary Magdalene. Nowhere in the Bible does it say she's a prostitute, but somehow or another she became one. Now I want you to remember that the Bible has been reinterpreted to fit the St. James version of events. That's why there's a St. James version of the Bible. And during that time, according to Hedda Howells, a historian, when they rewrote the Bible, they were invested in making Mary a penitent sinner and a reformed convert. And that's according to the article, Mary Magdalene, Why Do People Want to Believe She Was a Sinner and a Prostitute? Now, what is that all? I mean, to me, they all are connected, as I always share. And in my opinion, there's power in femininity. And the more you embrace your feminine divine, the more you are able to fight against a narcissist and toxic people. When you know who you are, no one else can come and try to deviate you from your path, your goal. When you totally and completely own you. As the late, great Chadwick Boseman said, be the superhero in your own story. May he rest well. But embrace your truth. And by doing so, you empower yourself against future onslaughts of narcissism. You are able to heal from all the toxicity that was thrown your way. Ruth was able to heal. She owned her femininity, she owned her validity, she owned her story. I will leave you with this, mon amis. We have to establish our own worth for ourselves. Our feelings rate, count, and matter, and low self-esteem is a major tool of anyone outside of us that's toxic. Their power is in keeping us down. Our power is in leveling up and surpassing, moving past all of the drama that they bring. Au revoir, mon amis. We'll talk again.